Good morning. It is 25 minutes after 8 o'clock. And joining us in studio this morning, who, contrary to popular belief, is not off for the summer, Roswell Independent School District Superintendent Brian Luck back with us. Morning, sir.
Good morning. Good morning.
How are you doing today?
Not bad. Not bad.
Now, obviously, you go, but do you get some kind of a summer break at all, Superintendent? You get to go, take a little time to
little bit.
Get out good.
A little bit. Days here and there, that kind of a deal. Still lots going on. That's
sure.
Something that little not so much surprising, but just some of the degrees to what's going on,
Gotcha.
Always something.
But at least you get, I got to imagine it, at least you get a chance to take a breath during the summer. And whereas with kids in school, there's usually fires to put out and things going on. Or at least now you're like, okay, we can focus on policy, we can focus on procedure, we can focus on the new, you got time to sit and focus on at your own pace the things that need to be addressed.
The pile of work that's been sitting over on the third desk that you say you're going to get to. That. And the neat thing about it is like you said, I mean, it does pull down a little bit the pace.
Sure.
But we do have some locations that have a little quasi summer school things going on and some stuff like that. But no, it's it does give you a little bit of a time to reflect and then to plan and get ready for next year.
Yep, and hopefully our teachers and everything are recharging their batteries as we speak. So.
I hope but they definitely deserve it.
Yeah,
they definitely deserve it.
Absolutely here. So, but just because we're in the summer months, the school board and the district does not take time off here, and they've been meeting and they've been working and getting everything done. So just because parents aren't thinking as much about school right now, that these folks are getting everything ready and hoping and doing everything they can to make sure when kids go back here in August, it's going to be business as usual. You know what I mean? Just back to going to school life and what it's supposed to be.
That's the plan.
Yeah.
In this particular meeting, we conducted and wrapped up our 21-22 school year. They a lot of little things, some tedious things that just business of being in business and getting stuff done and finishing up some of our financial things and closing out some of accounts and, and just being ready to go.
I was going to ask that because if you look at like city council and the county commission right now, they're all kind of finishing up and in budget talks because fiscal year ends. Is that the case for the
Yes,
RISD?
sir.
Do you guys do the exact same style of planning the budget and people are making their cases. We need more money here, and then the board decides whether that's a good thing or a bad thing.
Well, and the budget's due to the state by a particular date, and it varies depending on which district that you're in. But we've got to have all that in so that come July 1, whenever our new fiscal year rolls over, that we're ready to go and we can get money out and allotted to the schools so that as the principals come in early, mid-July, and the teachers come in, that all of their budgets are in place and that they can hit the ground running, and that we spend this next year's money on that group of kids.
Sure. Is there anything in this year's budget, at least the way it's looking, that's going to be like unusual extra expense stuff that they may not normally appear in budgets on I don't know if it's like an upgrade thing or a work related, or, because obviously you guys have constantly been. That's been a battle that's been going on for 20 plus years of upgrading and renovating and remodeling schools.
We don't necessarily see anything right now.
Okay.
Tomorrow's always a new day, and you can always get a new challenge. We've been pretty blessed. The people that have come before me, multiple sets of superintendents and business people, and our town in general have always had a fairly conservative approach when it comes to spending, and they've also had a really strong desire to save and plan ahead.
Sure.
So our district is in a good spot as far as being ready to go, I think we do a pretty good job as far as being ready for things that we didn't know were going to come up.
Sure.
Obviously, if things are really major, that's always going to put a.
Well, it's been 3 years of that.
Yeah,
so.
it's gonna be, well, but then you take a little bit of federal dollars that have been influxed into our budget. Now, granted, you can't spend that money on just anything. I mean, there's some monster stipulations that go with that. But
you're seeing some good things come from that.
We have.
Good.
Our technology is probably about as solid as it's ever been. As far as the newness of the Chromebooks and the technology inside the classrooms, the Promethean boards and the new smart boards, and the, if there's a need right now, we probably have a way to satisfy that need that would not encompass, just general operational funds. So
Gotcha.
It's just making sure that we can get the product in. That's one of the things that we're running into. We're working on a couple major projects, and the supply chain is just it's been severely disrupted.
It's the same battle the rest of the world's dealing with right now. Yeah,
it is, and I laugh whenever people tell me that. I say, yeah, but I'm a school and I don't care. We have certain things that we've got to do.
Their students are going to be in this building on this
Right.
date, whether we have these materials or
That's
not.
right.
I need the materials so we can do our job.
Right.
Yeah.
But I mean, a testimony to our maintenance department, our the people that order our supplies. We've got a gentleman that just does a phenomenal job, and we talk. He's let me know that there's certain products that we're gonna have some issues with, and
Gotcha.
so he's frantically searching the world for these products. And so some of it could be as dumb sounding as trash can liners.
Gotcha.
But when you run into things where they say, hey, we're not going to have this product again for 3 months, and you've got a need.
Sure.
It does create a problem.
Let me ask you: do you think we'll get to and this is something that I think parents, when their children are younger, are very aware of this. But like when you, especially elementary age, you always say, and usually that first couple weeks of school, they say bring some Kleenex, bring some hand sanitizer, for the classroom and stuff. Are we at a point where maybe we're going to need to tap into parents at higher levels for some of this kind of stuff? You think just to get a little creative with making sure these needs are met?
No, and it's interesting that you say that, because as a former high school principal, that was one of the things that I'd have parents call and say that all the time.
Yeah.
I pay my taxes. I can't believe you're asking my kid to bring a Kleenex box.
Yeah.
And I was like, wait a minute, there's a little difference between they've asked it for a different reason.
Sure.
It's more of a supply issue versus a financial issue. I mean,
Gotcha.
we've got the funds. Our warehouse.
Well,
is
I just didn't know it.
stacked.
I mean,
Yeah.
if you need it, I mean,
No.
we got the money, but if we,
No.
I didn't know if it, because people, I got some here I can bring to you. I didn't know if do we need to
No.
get creative with our, because one thing we know about people in Southeast New Mexico is we're good at, rallying and finding resources, and making
Right.
things happen. We want to do that.
No, I think we're in good shape with that.
Good.
I mean, there'll always be certain things that a teacher, some specialty products that a teacher
Yeah.
may ask her students to help out with. But
Sure.
in general, I mean, like I said, we've got pallets and pallets
Sure.
of hand sanitizer.
Good.
And we've got.
I just didn't know if there's something we
Yeah.
can get the community helping out with.
No, I think
and-
we're good. I
'cause we
think
all,
as far as that goes.
that's the kind of stuff, we all living in this world, and
Right.
love, hate, whatever the scenario, we're in it. So let's do everything we can together to make our, and I think one area we can all agree on is, hey, let's make sure our kids are covered before we worry about some other stuff. That's a higher priority to most
Right.
of us. So
No, and if we do run into things like that, I mean, we'll scour the earth before we have to go out and solicit something like that.
well, if there's any maybe supply and demand people out there that has avenues to this kind of stuff, maybe reach out to the school
Sure.
district and say, hey, I know a guy.
And that's what's funny is the people that are working inside, the different offices there at central office. I mean, they all have connections.
Sure.
The air quote connections.
Yeah.
And we've asked them, don't leave any stone unturned.
Sure.
And don't hesitate to reach out.
Absolutely.
To anybody for additional help.
Yeah.
Some of the supply chain, even with like the food for our cafeteria. I mean, they were talking last night in one of the presentations that they're anywhere from 3 to 4 months out on some of these products, and it's just like, then you go back and then they get to the kitchen and they're having to prepare meals or menus weeks in advance. I mean, it's not just as simple as what are we going to cook tomorrow?
Sure.
I mean, these are things.
they like the menus that the kids are going to eat here in August that was planned a year ago.
Yes, sir. Well, and when you think about having to store that type of product,
Sure.
And we're pretty blessed with the expansions that we've had up to this point. But as far as being able to store, to buy in bulk so that you can get the product, that's one of the things that we're running into as a potential problem.
You know what, and this is my glass half full ideology here. I kind of look at this as maybe a bit of an opportunity too.
Yes, sir.
And the district has already embraced and started this prior to COVID, but I think this almost gives the ammo to make that program a little hard. And what I'm talking about is that incorporation of local produce, doing the gardens and things at the various schools, getting supply for lunches from local farms and things like that. I think at the end of the day, that's going to be the fix to some of this stuff. And so we've already started planning that, incorporating that into class. I think what the lesson learned here is we may have to kind of ramp that game up a little bit here in the future, and that's a good thing for me. I think
absolutely.
that's to me that just it feels like one of those things. Like, yeah, that should be that way. I think
it was pretty neat. There were 3 different items that came before last night in action items, and it was food, non-food, and this was all cafeteria related: food, non-food, and produce. And so when one of the parts with the food, there were multiple sets of vendors that were listed in here, and again, a lot of it was because you'll buy this from this particular group, and if they don't have it, then you just kind of keep moving down the list. There were local businesses in there too that some of them were kind of some specialty products, but I know even from being in the building level, your kid walks across with a tray, and you can hear him talking, and like, well, that's the same chips that we eat at the house or something like that. The one that I loved was whenever we would get our local produce. Yeah. And you walk, go past the salad bar, and there's, a homegrown watermelon or cantaloupe, and the kids loved it too. Yeah, I think more of that, get in our future is probably going to be our answer to some of that stuff. And I know I was kind of talking last hour, last hour we were talking a little bit about, younger people and generations. I think, COVID and the aftermath of COVID is the lesson learned here is you got to be a little bit resilient, self-reliant on things. And so, we live in a world where everything's delivered to us, catered to us, brought to us. We forget how the sausage is made sometimes. And I think we need to know, we got to get more generations of people understanding how the sausage is made, because at some point you might have to make the sausage. Just saying. You might. You just might. And it'd be a great business opportunity for you if you could make some of that sausage. Yeah. But the connecting the community with the kids, and then connecting the kids back to where you got it, and as far as being thankful to the people that help produce it, help grow it, help get it to you. It's win-win all the way around. Yeah, absolutely. But it's like I said, it's good to see that they kind of saw ahead and we're implementing this. And so I would imagine, it's still tough right now what's going through, but because that was already in place, that gives you a resource that maybe had you not, you wouldn't be looking at right now. And that's a good thing. And you're first in line at that local resource, hopefully, whereas other districts or other entities might be now trying to compete with you. You've got a contract in place with these people, and sure does help. Sure. And I imagine too, it's sure nice for these farms and ranches to have steady customers that know my crop's going to be sold. Oh yeah. Regardless of supply and demand. I've got someone who's already on my demand list here. You know what I mean? And that brings stability to our farmers and ranchers too, which by far we definitely need more of. Sure. Unfortunately, more and more people on this planet, less and less people are in that industry. Right. I'm not a math wizard, but I can do that math. There's going to be a problem here when you got more people and less people making the food and more people needing food. That's going to be a big problem at the end of the day. Yes, sir. So get ready, kids. Pay attention to school, because you're going to be the ones that have to fix this. You said a lot right there. You said a lot. Anyway, maybe we'll get it back to local here. Highlights the meetings. What happened to these soapboxes? I got too many of them. Stop giving me soapboxes, people. Let's talk about some highlights from the last meeting we want to make sure we covered. You know what? Like I said, it was just some end of the year business. We had a few recognitions. Good. They came in last night. Valerie Lopez with Maize for Life. She did this program at the college and put our mid-school kids through this, just some life lessons. So DWI, the effects of methamphetamines, different things. Just a wonderful opportunity for our mid-school kids to get out there and just participate and see some of the things that are out there. Mr. Edwards, one of the board members, had made a comment. He said it's a shame that they have to learn this, but it's a very beneficial program. And so she got a little bit of an opportunity to kind of highlight her program. we're going to honor Diane Taylor, Miss Taylor, with the Every 15-Minute program. She wasn't there last night, but wanted to make sure
she does a great work with that program.
I've been with that. I've helped participate with that program at the high school level from the ground up, and that is the monster labor of love for the people that get into that.
And it creates such a great visual. I mean, a horrifying visual, but it really does a good job at sinking that message home and doing it. Which, let's face it, it's a creative, unique way that draws attention, but at the same time, it really shows. Look, this is the horror of what happens when you do these things.
Right.
We don't ever want you to be in this, but this is a mock-up, and good news, they're going to get up after the set of this, but this is what it looks like when and if this was for real, we would hate to see that. And to share that image in a way that is serious, but at the end of the day is not traumatizing, because right afterwards the person gets up and walks away, and you're like, okay, phew. But you know what I'm saying? That's a resonating message that I imagine there's countless kids that maybe have thought twice because they were hanging out and seeing that and saying, you know what, I can wait on this. I don't need to be drinking right now, or I can, I hope that, and I really think it does, because you can't, Scared Street programs, there's great things about those, and sometimes there's some pitfalls here, but when you can really set the example and show someone this is the consequences, and do it in a way that I don't say scares them, but sinks in the seriousness of the what we're talking about here. But at the same time, no one's hurt at the end of the day, and that's what it's like. This is what could be happen if
you get a reset.
Yeah.
So that's one of the only opportunities in life that you get, that you can say that did happen, but it wasn't real. And this is, gosh, I'm trying to think, when we were talking, what number program this is that I've seen as far as being here in Roswell. And I'm guessing that might be the fourth or fifth one that I've witnessed. So when I went over to Roswell High and actually stood on the other side of the crash scene this time, and it never ceases to amaze me, the response of the students that are watching this. The first one that I saw, these kids weren't even born whenever I saw the first one, and it was the same response.
Yeah.
The looks on their faces was the same. The students that participate in it, their attitude, their mindset is before it gets ready to start, it's kind of I don't want to say like a jovial, but there's a little bit of a joking that goes around.
Sure, they're playing pretend. So
they're kids.
There's a funness to it.
They're kids, and then when they get them out to the crash, and they actually take the victims that are in the crash and they put them out and they stage them, it
starts sinking in.
It immediately changes things, and then they go down. They go through the jail. Then they end up over at the funeral home, and that one was probably one of the most powerful ones that I remember witnessing. And the kids come out of the back of Anderson Bethany, and they've been talking with the director and different things, and they bring it up and they say, hey, we're gonna let y'all sit in the sanctuary in here in the big room, so that you guys had a long day so far. We're just gonna kind of let you decompress. And then they walk them in there, and they bring them in the back, and it's one of them's funeral. And you've got a parent sitting up there, or you've got a girlfriend or a boyfriend, and they're up speaking about it, and it just when you say hammers home a message, it's powerful. So we wanted to make sure that Miss Taylor and her organization got the recognition that they deserve. I think we'll probably get her back, because I know Diane would probably like to say a few words to the group, and so we'll make sure that
people
we get them in
she
there.
has a passion for this, and
huge,
so it's
huge.
It's
huge.
awesome.
Fact is, her group was actually at the Maze for Life program too, doing a spot there against DWI. So she tied into multiple places there. Some informational items just kind of came in and just went through a couple questions that had been asked. One of the things that came up is our school resource officers. So we had, I don't want to say we had lost, because we had some changing in status with our resource officers. A couple of them had been promoted. We had one, I think, that had retired. So over the course of the last few years, we have not had a resource officer in any of the schools, and we're getting it back. So,
Gotcha.
With the city police, and thank you to them. They were able to get staffed up to the point that they could help us offer that again. So we've got 2 officers that hopefully will be joining us
here in the fall.
In the fall. fact is, we've got their spots already saved for the National Association of School Resource Officers convention that happens in July. So we're really excited about that.
Unfortunately, I think the events in Uvalde here, it's happened over the last couple months or last month here, is kind of, I'm sure every school district in the country look at that and say, "Are we doing enough on our end?"
Absolutely.
And I'm sure RISD is no different. They're
no different.
Yeah.
The biggest, and it's interesting. So that you've got two people that are going to be assigned, various parts of the city or various different schools in the city, and one of the things that I would like to reiterate, that one of the biggest benefits of a resource officer is prevention. And it's not so much that I have somebody with a weapon or somebody that has the radio that can get me, back up immediately, as much as it is the relationships that those officers build with the kids and the staff.
Absolutely.
And the parents. It's an immediate, I know that person, and I trust that one, and I'm going to go ask them what they think about this.
And people are going to be more apt to want to communicate with said person
Sure.
when something goes wrong, because there is a relationship of trust. They know that they're there for the good things, and so they feel comfortable in saying, "Hey, I heard something's going on here. Can you please check it out?"
Well, and I've been very fortunate. I mean, I've been surrounded by probably one of the best school resource officers that's ever come through the system, and I watched that officer work. And just, as a student or a parent would come up and they would say things, you could see the mind, that mind of that officer working without actually having to ask a lot of questions. And it was good because it was just a good trusting relationship. Sure. And then too, you have somebody to get solid advice from, as far as to the letter of the law. What does the law say for this? What does the law say for that?
You've got an expert in the room at all times.
You've got that. And then too, I go back to like the ability to find out information immediately. So something happens right now, we're kind of at a loss as far as, who to call. If something goes down with the police, they're busy. They're working. They're figuring something out.
Sure.
We get a lockdown alert from dispatch. Our first thing is we lock something down, and then we start asking questions. And there might be a little bit of a delay or a lag, just because we're probably not, calling the superintendent and saying, "Hey, this is what we got going on in that area," is probably not the first priority.
Sure. There's someone lower on the chain that needs to get that information first.
Well, and again, it's secure up the area and make sure the kids are good. So we're just really happy that we've got that back. And again, thank you again to the police and
Absolutely.
and to the recruiting efforts to get their numbers up a little bit higher.
Absolutely.
So that we have that opportunity.
And by the way, if you're looking for careers, I know the Sheriff's Department and the Roswell Police Department are both still looking for qualified individuals to be a part of that. So if you got the integrity and the desire to serve our community, please reach out to the Roswell Police, or I'm sure state police. Every law enforcement entity in our area is probably looking for more officers.
I think you just nailed it with anybody that employs.
Yeah.
Everybody's looking. Kind of on that note, I mean, we are still hiring. We have a really cool program called Ed Fellows that we've got a real big media blitz going on right now, and it's for our associates, and it's taking somebody that has not just a little bit of experience, but taking somebody that might not have the ability to stop working and go back to school. There's a program that we've got now that would help pay for all of that for them.
Great.
And that's so there's an ad in the paper. We've got it out on our website. Anybody interested in something like that?
Absolutely. Let's invest in you while you giving back to the community. That's it's a win-win for everybody there. And I'm guessing when for you guys it works because obviously it's the qualifications, but you're also when you invest in those people are probably going to be more giving, like appreciative of what they've got, and they're going to be more engaged as teachers. I'm trying to put this in a way that's like, because it's not that every teacher's not engaged, they are, but when someone helped you tend to be a little bit more, loyal's not the right word. Like you just feel like you owe more, and you work harder because you're like, look, if it wasn't for them, I wouldn't be here. I got to bust my tail, and so there's always that driving force in the back of their heads, and so that always puts out good results, I think. So
what's interesting with this one is, and it almost, I don't want to say works in reverse, but But these are the people that have been with us for a while.
Mm-hmm.
They have stuck it out. They have come in. They have done the lion's share of a lot of the work. They just didn't have maybe necessarily the personal situation that would afford them the chance to go back to school.
Sure.
So this group has already demonstrated by tenfold. So now it's actually our opportunity really to give back to them.
Okay.
So it's but it's again.
But at the end of the day, it's putting their springboard for where they can grow their own personal lives.
You bet.
They can, now earn more income.
Yes.
Better. If they have aspirations for promotions to higher levels within the district, this sets the table for all of that. So.
Oh, and it's went all the way around. You've got people that want to be in the building, and you can actually get them back paid up to a level that they need to be paid to. So again, win all the way.
Well, and I'm sure you would agree on this, and I know it's the easy Facebook thing, but yeah, we live in a world where the hardest working people on the planet get paid the least amount of money sometimes, and we live in a world. I mean, it's the world we live in because that's what people pay for, and that's where the money goes. But yeah, you see people on TV playing basketball and football and baseball making hundreds of millions of dollars. And you busted your hump to educate kids, paid a bunch of money to go get your degree and all that, and here you're like, oh, I got $50,000 a year, you know what I mean, or whatever that number is. It's just that's a societal thing. You look like, our priorities are screwed up, but follow the money. Unfortunately, until you get people to pay millions of dollars to watch a classroom, you're not going to get. It's just money and where the money goes. But that doesn't mean we can't, say, hey. You're a professional. You need to be paid like a professional. And I would even go one further. And this is more of a we society thing. You need to treat these people like professionals too. And I know we as parents, and I get it. Parents are defending their kid and they want to do all that. But you got to give the person that spends almost as much time with your child as you do that respect and that understanding. And once you do, you're going to see things from their perspective, and together now you're a partnership making that child better instead of being adversarial. Just my advice to parents out there. It's like, work with your teachers. Don't come in there like you're ready to accuse them of what are you doing wrong. It's like, what can we do together to get this done? And if you have that mindset, you're going to find out your teacher's probably pretty good. And they're going to help you.
It's interesting that you said that because I wasn't real sure. It's been a year in the job, and I was not real sure how the general, when a parent would get to me at my level, what type of situation we would be at. Kind of, is it like you said? Is it that the teacher's always wrong, or is it And what I've actually found is I would probably say 80-20 the other way.
Okay, good.
That a lot of our parents.
It's just the smaller one. The smaller percentage is a lot louder.
Probably, and that's unfortunately. I mean, that's usually the one that you're going to remember.
Squeaky wheel gets the grease.
Probably not the one that comes in and says, "Hey, I get it. Now, what can we do to fix this?" That kind of a deal. So,
absolutely. But just putting you back. I'm just saying. I see people, and this is just personal. I know I'm getting way off topic, but if you're one of those people that always seems to be in a battle with somebody, an argument is,
Mm-hmm.
I'm just saying, if you're always in those situations with multiple different people, the common denominator might be you. I'm just saying, what are you putting out there that's causing this? I get it. You come across people who disagree with you. I get that. But if you have a lot more than most, maybe you're the problem. I'm just saying.
a little bit of patience and compassion can go a long way.
Absolutely,
long way.
All right, let's bring it on top. Anything else we want to mention here before we wrap up?
Yeah, just real quick. We had one other big item that we did go through last night, and this was really big. Was we bought the land? Or we let me backtrack. The board agreed to move forward with purchasing the land that sits directly behind Mesa Middle School.
Okay,
and this was a piece of property that was owned by the state, and it was just the monster collaborative effort from county officials to city officials, Mayor Jennings, Will Cavan, Mac Rogers.
Red Tape City, huh?
What the cool part about it was our construction manager, Jeremy Sanchez, jumped on this and started working, and he went up through the process, and it actually ended up with the governor, and just what can happen for the kids when people work together. It was really a neat a neat process to be a part of. It was.
Did the state ever have any plans for that land, or they just end up with it for whatever reason?
My understanding is that they did have some plans for the land.
Okay.
And that by us coming in and actually purchasing the land, that it provides them the resource to move forward. And I'll let the mayor talk about a little bit about that whenever he gets in here with you.
He'll be in next month. He was just in last week.
But again, just thank you to the parties that were involved. Now, that being said, we have not decided.
I was going to say, do you guys have a plan yet for what you want to do?
Well, we have not decided, because I say we. There are 5 duly elected people that will decide if that's going to be the side of Nancy Lopez, or if we're going to rebuild Nancy Lopez where it's at.
Okay.
That's their job. That's not mine. My job with everybody else is.
But now they got the option too.
We have the ability now to put the plan.
Sure.
To put a plan in place so that they go, okay, do we want to do this or do we want to do this? And that was one of our sticking points with the early design phase, had it where it's at or on a part of the property that Mesa currently sits on.
Gotcha.
And that was a little bit of a sticking point, because it did shrink a little bit of the footprint.
How like, say you did move.
Okay.
And how big of an impact logistically would that be, moving everybody around to make sure numbers are good to go? Would that be a monumental thing, or is it a relatively easy shift?
As far as moving it over
like
to the other
school
location?
numbers, like, because obviously if a building moves, that's going to maybe change the lines on where a kid goes to school based on where they live. How impact, is that a big impact? Is that no impact? Is it a little impact?
Well, it's interesting that you say that. We went through the process, and we're still in the middle of it with the school board boundaries.
Gotcha.
Okay, now that's just the school board part. And I learned a ton with the company that came in. We had some public sessions in all 4 of the wards.
Sure.
All 5 of the school board boundaries. And there's a lot that goes to that. Now, if we were to take Nancy Lopez from where it's currently at and move it basically across the street and over, I don't believe that's going to have the impact that
I would think not, but
would say changing the boundaries. Now, as we move forward and if things progress, you've got some subdivisions that potentially could pop up and actually then go populate in those subdivisions with school-age children. You've got some apartment complexes. There's lots of different factors that come in here at that point in time.
Yeah.
You'd have to look. You'd have to step back and you'd have to say, okay, so our capacity at this building is this. Our capacity at this building is that. Then obviously you start looking.
Gotcha.
That is the monster of all kisses of death for superintendents.
So it could be a can of worms.
If our town were to pop up and just start growing, which a lot of people would like to see that.
Yeah.
Those are good problems.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, this means these are all problems of cities that are growing and expanding and getting bigger and better. And Roswell knows the converse of this when they closed the base in the 60s, and this is much better to have than that version.
Well, and I say, unfortunate or fortunate, however you want to look at it.
Yeah.
There's still enough of a population base that's here at multiple different generations, because I've heard that my whole life. I was not here when that happened. I wasn't around when that happened, but I've been told multiple times. I had grandparents that were affected by it, parents that were affected by it. So that resonates. Yeah. And you're very apprehensive and cautious about that. So
yeah, it's we got to go, but me growing up in the DC area and all that, everyone works for the government, so it was really hard for me to understand that philosophy till I left the DC area, moved here, and seeing what life is like in a town that isn't relying on the federal government for everything. And it's just an interesting perspective there. So,
very different.
Yeah. Again, you can go back and check out the school board meetings things. Go to the Roswell Independent School District's page. You'll find a link right there to videos for school board meetings and many other things through the district as well, too. So
you bet.
Highly recommend that. Of course, if you have questions about who your school board member is or any of that stuff, you'll find all of that at the website there.
And very helpful. We haven't moved anything. We haven't taken anything down yet. So, but we're very much looking forward to the next school year already.
Absolutely. So, well, thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
Thank you, guys.
And we'll see you next time, and try to get some downtime here before the kids get back.
Yes, sir.
All right, 8:59, quick break.